So I want to do one more problem that it's worth 10 marks according to the book. And I think it's probably the easiest 10-mark question. You just got to know how to approach it. So it's a complex number cubed that has to equal I. And so what you do is you think of both sides as complex numbers in polar form. And so what I know is that my z minus 2I has to equal 1e to the pi over 2I, because I is at a 90-degree angle, so that's why I'm using pi over 2 right there. And then this is raised to the third power. But we can think of this other side. I'm going to forget about the z minus 2I for a second. I'm just going to think of it as an r e to the I theta. So what I know is that r cubed e to the 3I theta has to equal 1e to the pi over 2I. So my r value on the left side has to equal 1, because that's the only real number, that's the cube root of positive 1, and that there are a couple options for my theta value. My 3 theta can equal pi over 2, or it can equal another full rotation from there. So adding 2 pi, which is 4 over 2, adding another 4 over 2, which then gives me my 3 different theta values. By dividing by 3, I get my 3 different theta values. The last one, which you can reduce down by a factor of 3 to be 3 pi over 2. If you look at those as points around the unit circle, you'll see that they're evenly spaced. They're each 120 degrees away from each other, which is what you should always expect with a problem like that. So that's a nice, good visual way to double check it. So what I know is that the left side of my equation has to equal the complex number with those angles. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to set it up. Z minus 2I equals pi over 6. If you do cosine of pi over 6 plus I sine of pi over 6, you get this. Solution number 2 is 5 pi over 6. So the same, the opposite real part and the same imaginary part. And then the third solution is at 3 pi over 2, which is negative I. So, oops. Okay, I wrote that wrong. So we do z3 minus 2I equals negative I. To get my final solutions, I'm just adding 2I to each of these. So that tells me that z1 is root 3 over 2 plus 5 halves I. Z2 is negative root 3 over 2 plus 5 halves I. And z3 is I itself. And you should verify that each of those, when you subtract 2I and then cube it, gets you back to I itself. So honestly, as far as 10 marks on the IB exam, I think this is probably the easiest of them all that I've seen. Just make sure you know how to switch between different forms and convert your angles.